Hi, my name's Steve Angel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a spiritual counselor and I'm also a values-based coach. So, what does that all mean? Well, what I do and my main purpose in my work is to help people overcome the challenges in their life. And one of the ways that I do that and help them is through a program called Personal Harmony. And what I love about this program is it looks at the values in which we live by, because our values drive our behavior. And when we really understand what our beliefs and values are, then we can make better decisions in our life. And these will then ripple through not just our personal life, but our business life and our relationships as well. So I wanted to talk to you about that today, but I really wanted to introduce you to one of my clients, Chad Davis, who has been through the program, and I wanted to get his thoughts on his experience and what he thought and share them with you. So please welcome Chad Davis. Hey, Chad.
Hi guys. Hi Steve. I'd like to think I'm a little bit more of a client, more than a client.
You certainly are. I really should have just said friend. Uh,
Full
Actually, we
disclosure,
are
we
more than that, aren't we?
yeah,
We're really more than that because
yeah, we're much
Chad
more.
is also somebody I have known for quite a while now. We have our relationship has gotten closer and closer through the work that we do together. And last year, we put together a podcast called Back to the Future of Events because our backgrounds have been in the events industry. But why don't you tell people a bit more about who you are, Chad? Let them know who you are.
Uh, well, in no particular order, I'm Chad. I am father of two, husband of one, sci-fi fan, foodie, tech loving DJ that runs an entertainment consultancy called Musicland.
There's a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, like many of us these days, we're all doing so much
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just trying to find ways to fulfill the passions that we have.
Yeah.
Now, Chad, I am going to focus on the personal harmony program because you did do it with me a little while ago. And I just wanted to sort of understand and get you to share with everyone who's watching where you were at the point of time when I introduced you to the program. What was going on for you?
I think there was a lot going on in the business. Always a lot going on in life,
Mm,
with kids, a house, family, all the craziness up and downs associated with that. And on top of that, the business is always also a roller coaster. I would describe my general overall position as driven, but without clear direction.
mm.
I always kind of know where I want to go, but sometimes I'm not sure what stones to step on. Like in that scene in Indiana Jones where he's stepping across those stones to spell the letters, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. And I think that that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah. What do you, how would you describe your emotional state as well at the time?
Uh, Similar to the state of the general affairs, it's generally up and down. I'm always trying to take a positive note on things, especially when I'm around the family. It's generally light-hearted, always
Yeah.
having a laugh around dinner and spending time with everyone. Uh, but it's always a challenge. Not
Yeah.
everyone has a good day every day, and so you have to be there for them. Sometimes I was the one not having a good day,
Yeah.
so it's like most families, you have great days and you have not so great days.
So what did you want to achieve or what did you want the outcome to be from the program and working one on one on this?
Well, I like the idea of approaching approaching it via values rather than some kind of poppy self-help Myers-Briggs type of approach.
Hmm.
So I think values underpin everything, absolutely everything. No matter what test or survey or questionnaire or self-help book you read, all of that is underpinned by what your emotional DNA is.
Hmm.
And I think that I had a sense of what those values might have been, but I needed clarification. I needed crystallization on what those were, and then to see it on paper, and then to be guided through how to take the next step to improve that or to discover.
Well, actually, why don't you describe to everyone exactly what the process was like?
Well, there's lots of questions, but I could tell that they were they were less, magazine style, but more looking to unearth what your actual values based were. The key difference is that it wasn't something that you did on your own. Um, I think the most important part of this is that there's someone there to guide you through each step, to help you interpret what the results were, and to nudge you and point you in the direction for the next steps.
Yeah, just to give everyone a bit of a bit more clarity around. So the process was that you answered a lot of these questions online. That gave us a report of your results, and what it did was look at 11 values that we've sort of uncovered as sort of core values, and just to see where you sit in those values right now in your life. How well are you actually doing with them, and how present are they or not present in your life? And then from that, then we were doing one-on-one sessions just to really uncover what each of those values meant for you, and where you could improve with them. Tell me, what surprised you the most out of the results? Which results surprised you the most?
I realised that I was reasonably well developed in a lot of areas,
Mhm.
but there were other ones which, you sort of think in the back of your head. I tend to base what I think of myself on what other people think of me, or I'm driven by fear. And that was the kind of confronting thing. I wouldn't say surprising necessarily, but I think it's the confronting thing where, I mean, I'm self aware enough to know that certain decisions scare me.
Mhm.
I didn't need that to be dragged out of me. And I guess importantly, I wasn't fearful going into this process like you
Yeah.
are, like a person or a man especially would be going into a counselling sort of process.
Mhm.
So it was less surprise, more okay. I've always thought, I'm driven, but I let other people judge me, or I'm afraid of certain making decisions. And so when those values came up as underdeveloped or needing development, then I thought, okay, let's get on and let's talk. Let's you and I talk, and then see what the next step in the path would be.
What I've found as well, working with clients and actually having doing the program myself, is when you really look at them and they're kind of laid out there for you in black and white, you then have somewhere to start. It's kind of like the roadmap. You've gone, okay, so this is a point where I'm at right now. Now, how do I move forward? So, how have some of those the outcomes of those the results? How have they changed, and have you seen sort of an impact or a change in certain parts of your life or decision
Yeah.
making? Or yeah,
Well,
just
it certainly
describe.
gives you focus. As I said, I was self-aware enough to know where I thought my issues laid
Mm.
in terms of the values, and seeing the report made help me focus on what to do. So in working with you, doing one or two very practical tweaks in terms of when you're confronted with a decision, you know that the normal you would make this type of decision based on fear, but you now have the option to make it in another way and get a different and probably better outcome.
Mhm.
So that's how I kind of use those results.
And did you see changes in all areas of your life?
No, I've always described myself as a work in progress. You know, I don't think I'd ever get to a point where I think, oh, I'm done. I'm like, values guy now. I think there's always the more you turn the pages of the book, the more you know less a lot of the time. And I definitely did see changes, but it's ongoing. You sometimes you'll have, you'll be bolting forward, but at other times you'll something will grind you to a halt, and you might even go backwards a bit. But then you can fall back on those values and know, okay, let me go back to the DNA of my emotions, and then move forward again.
Who do you think would benefit from doing a program like this?
I think anyone. I think any professional, any family person, anyone in a relationship. But it is a personal coaching system,
Hmm.
So I think that it is about self improvement or self awareness or self discovery, as we coined it a couple of weeks ago. It, so it whilst it helps individuals, you know, uh, the effects and the impacts of it will spread outwards, I believe.
Yeah, and just one last comment, if I could ask you, how do you feel it was different to other things that you had experienced in the past?
Well, if you talk about general personality quizzes or whatever you want to call them, they feel very superficial.
Hmm.
Whilst you might answer them honestly, the basis behind those quizzes is still subjective and based on data from a certain group of people.
Hmm.
But I think values is our emotional DNA. It's what we're genetically born with, but it's also how we're nurtured as we grow up. So,
Hmm.
for 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 me, I couldn't think of a better place to start.
Hmm.
Because if we work on our our honesty, for instance, then if we work on that and develop that, then that is going to impact in a positive way in our personal relationships, but then in our work relationships and how we relate to clients, and how we relate to family and friends.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought up that value because that is really one of the biggest values that we look at. There's several, there's 11 as I mentioned, and I'll run through a few just before we finish up. And obviously, honesty, I think, underpins everything in our life, and that includes self honesty as well as honesty with others and telling and speaking your truth. But we also look at things like your level of judgment, how you're influenced by your ego, your ability to share energy and connect with other people, how much fear interferes in your life, your ability to see others as equal, and how that affects your relationships and interpersonal relationships, your level of self belief. We also look at your commitment to choice in your life. So they're very big core values that we look at, and they're incredibly important. And for me, and I think as you sort of shared today, that getting them right or knowing where you're at with them really does develop a whole new foundation for growth. And I think that, as you said, that ripples through not just you as a person, but then how you show up at work, how you show up with your employees, how you show up in your relationship, how you show up as a father or a wife or a parent. It really is quite powerful stuff. So
Yep.
I'm really, really appreciative that you did this. I know, and I just to clarify again, you're more than just a client. You are a friend, and only a friend would have helped me set this up. And I do appreciate it because it does. I do really believe strongly in this, and I do think it has a lot of significance and a lot of gravitas, in helping people really change. So, again, thanks, mate. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Of course.